Welcome everybody. It always takes us a minute or so. Please bear with us. I'm Dana Durnford, the nuclear proctologist.org. I've been around for a very long time. I usually do nuclear. How far does a sneeze travel? And so the World Health Organization says 6 feet. But in reality, travels 200 feet. And can stay on surfaces for 9 days plus. 1 in 19 people are being diagnosed, the others aren't. And it can be 24 days before any symptoms manifest. Let's just jump right into it. This is a real big deal. Whatever this is, the response worldwide is insane. Now, it fills your lungs up with like this jello. So it's not like phlegm where you can just spit it up. You actually suffocate. This also can cause your kidneys to shut down, and it can give you heart attacks. These are studies. We only talk about documentation we can prove, right? The idea of what we're doing is to give you the big picture. San Francisco declares emergency but with no cases. That should warn you about what or how bad this actually is. Even though despite having no cases, they have an emergency. That's what you're going to see as headlines over the last couple of days. Say Wednesday, Thursday, and today's headlines, in that order also, for the most part. So you can see the progression over the last 3 days, and there's so much we can't bring you everything, but all the important stuff are here, so here we go. The latest impact on sports, this is 3 days ago, this particular headline, and we have updates to all of this. So you see Japan is panicking already. They have 200 confirmed cases or something, but they're panicking. They just closed all the schools across the entire country. Japan's professional soccer league has postponed 7 matches, etc., etc. So there's all kinds going on there. Welcome to everybody. Olympic Games could be cancelled, and that's looking like what's going to happen. And the IOC shouldn't be having the Olympics in the most radioactive place in human history anyway, right? A lot of things start to happen. And so they're talking about, look at this, you've got to start ramping up your security. What do you need security for the Olympics for? This is stupid. And the security stays behind. You leave a police state behind after every Olympics in history. It's absurd anyway. So a Japanese-only restaurant? It shows you how desperate, with just 100 or 200 cases in our country, you see restaurants don't want anybody coming into a restaurant. There's something else going on we're not being told. Jakarta K-pop concert to require health checks. They actually canceled the concert. But I kept the story because there's some interesting facets here. A bunch of kids with a huge public relation firm behind them. You see this over and over throughout history. So like when you're taking temperature checks, you're only getting 2% of the ill people. So you get more, 1 in 50 people by checking their temperatures. It just doesn't work. You get late stages, it's a start, but don't think it's safe just because you got 2%. If you are measured as having a body temperature above 30, which is only 2% will show up, you'll be asked to go through further health checks in a specialized area. And if you're unfit, you got to bring a doctor's note. So they're not being realistic about this at all. And of course, they understood that now, they canceled it. But it does show you how bizarre this gets. They didn't, by the way, cancel their, that's the female version. And if you don't have a mask, then you got to pay double to get your autograph. That's stupid as you can get. So now they want closures. They were seeking it, but now they got closures. Shinzo Abe came out yesterday. The Board of Education in Japan's will seek to close all public elementary, junior high, but they're actually closing them all. See all the matches like this in a lot of places behind closed doors with no audience. This is absolutely Twilight Zone stuff. The fans is what makes the games for the most part. Widespread transmission for Australia is going to be impossible to prevent. And because they don't have a very good healthcare system, apparently, it'll be overwhelmed right away. That's applicable to many countries worldwide. Applicable to many countries, many countries worldwide. The show night is a little early, and very difficult. You got to read so much, and you can only use so much. Unacceptable Realtors Instagram post here in Canada in the Okanagan Valley says, don't worry about the coronavirus because it was made in China. There's a lot of people that are completely disconnected from reality is what you're seeing. Geneva Motor Show, the update to that is it's cancelled. In Switzerland, with just one case. So, like, this doesn't add up, right? When you start doing stuff like this, you cancel these incredible events because there's a case in your country. And what it is, this is another study is coming out showing that it was 1,000 times more likely to attach to your cells than SARS was. But even then, they play it down on this side, and they go through the extremes by closing it down on that side. And so they're losing all credibility by doing stuff like this. The World Health Organization has zero credibility. If you're paying attention to this, you'll be insane to be listening to the World Health Organization. They're just regurgitating literally what I'm doing right here. And they're not even doing as good job, not even close to it. Not if, but when the world braces. So, not if, but when. There's a lot of that connotation showing up. See, I'm heavily censored. China's massive travel restrictions, house-to-house checks, isolation wards, lockdowns of entire cities has brought the world valuable time to prepare for the global spread of the new virus. To prepare, not stopping it, but prepare for the global spread. This is such a nasty virus, a single case in your country, the country panics. It's obviously they're not telling us the truth. Time is everything in the disease. Days makes the difference. And India has no healthcare infrastructure. Pakistan has no healthcare infrastructure. Africa has no healthcare. They'll all be overwhelmed in little or no time. 250,000 villages, and these villages, most of these, no offense, but they're living in stone ages. And so they're very, very vulnerable. I'm worried sick constantly with all this stuff I'm reading for these victims who don't know any better and don't have anybody they can turn to. There's CDC expects coronavirus will spread. They updated that to it's going to happen. Ask citizens to prepare. Well, all they're going to do is put you on life support when you get really sick. They don't have a treatment, just life support and the regular stuff, and your own body has to beat it. Internet joint fights the spread of coronavirus on truths. We've covered a lot on this subject. The online battle to keep misinformation. But what they're doing is, and there's legitimate misinformation. But the World Health Organization doesn't need to be doing what they're doing. I'll explain to you. Google, Facebook, other platforms struggling to keep ahead of scammers, trolls, and others with ill intent. There's a lot of stupid people too. And there's a lot of crazies out there. Internet companies took part in a meeting, the World Health Organization, at Facebook's headquarters. Now, because those same companies just lost billions in stocks, right? There's a big incentive to censor everybody. It's totally criminal what we're seeing. To discuss tactics such as promoting reliable information and fact-checking, and they're using Snopes for fact-checking, most dubious thing on the planet. We must combat the spread of rumors, misinformation, the World Health Organization says. Make sure people searching for coronavirus basically only see the World Health Organization information at the top of their search results. There's no reason to trust these people. Twitter, Facebook, 10 cents, TikTok, all just lost fortunes. And the stock exchange all the way up until the beginning of this week. And this week, there's $6 trillion already gone from the stock exchanges this week. So there's around $9 trillion, I guess, at this stage now. Twitter and Facebook has lost a big chunk. They have a huge incentive to censor everything and everybody. Misinformation is spread by actors, which is the World Health Organization telling people it only spreads 6 feet, and that it only lasts on the surface for, say, 3 hours. That's as nutty as it gets. That's misinformation overdrive. Sneezes will travel 200 feet, and it lives on the surfaces, these are studies, for up to 9 days. So the first thing Facebook and Google should be doing is censoring the World Health Organization. This is the Twilight Zone. They're the actors, and these actors can take advantage of that. Things with crazier scenarios are more likely to be clicked on than the report from doctors at the World Health Organizations trying to calm down fears. Like schizophrenic, what they're actually doing. It's 100% schizophrenic. More likely to be clicked on. More likely to be clicked on. More likely to be clicked on is lunatic land, right? Hang on. I'll get there. Doctors at the World Health Organization trying to calm down the fears by saying it only goes 6 feet, and we know a sneeze goes 200 feet, and by saying it lives on surfaces for 3 hours, but we got studies showing it lives there for 9 days. Why would you trust the World Health Organization until they at least retract their statements about that and correct that? They're very dangerous. And they came on board way late in the game. I was at this for what, 20 days before they showed up? What they consider authoritative content. They use Snopes. Snopes. Of all people to trust, how can you be so stupid as to trust Snopes? Like, it's disgusting. And they're hemorrhaging money from the stocks, and they're going to put these weasels, these demons in charge. And see, coronavirus plunge wiped more than 230 billion from, you guessed it, Facebook, Google, and the rest of them that are censoring everybody. And Moore met with the World Health Organization, who's out there telling everybody it only goes 6 feet. A sneeze, everybody knows a sneeze will go 200 feet. Yamaha, Google, and YouTube. And the group is planning to meet every few weeks, not months, but every few weeks. Coronavirus infects U.S. soldier. And you see the words pandemic, like the criteria for pandemics have already been met. It's already been met. Oh, man. Scumbags. In Japan, Abe urges 2-week curb on sports events as coronavirus looms over the Olympics. 2-week curbs on sporting events will turn into what? 2 months? 2 years? Shinzo Abe is supposed to be in jail for crimes against humanity for shipping billions and billions of pounds of food from the most radioactive area in human history that should never have been grown there. 100% criminal what he done and continues to do. That's criminal to murder people with radiation, large amounts of radiation. That's all good, eh? Meanwhile, baseball said it would stage the planned preseason games with no fans in the buildings. South Korea Telecom shut down their headquarters. These are extraordinary stories because of a flu. Not a flu, it's obviously there's a lot more to this story that these crazies are insisting on hiding from everybody, at the same time lying to you and telling you it only goes 6 feet when it goes 200 feet for a sneeze. They got an employee they think might be sick, but they closed down the whole telecom. Does that sound normal to anybody? South Korea coronavirus cases may peak. Now, they had 60 or less cases, They locked down 2.5 million people. They peak at 10,000. JP Morgan, which is hemorrhaging money from the stocks, right? And stocks are still in free fall today. And there will be Monday when they open the trading again. So they were trying to artificially, JP Morgan was, that's crazy. Hong Kong unveils $15 billion in relief. Then they're going to give each person almost $1,300 to boost the economy. But you got to realize if people are not working, can't pay their bills, they can't pay their lights, they can't pay their telephone, they can't pay their heat, they can't pay their mortgages, their car payments, because they're locked down, right? South Korea reported, and so you can see the story through the rest of the show, these numbers changing dramatically. Food giant Nestle delays all business trips over coronavirus. All business trips are cancelled. And they have almost 300,000 employees. Medics are putting themselves in harm's way, by the way. Everyone, don't forget that. These people are on the front line. Growing cases in Italy, Iran, South Korea. There are fears that the virus could reach an altogether more worrying level of transmission. Well, what we're seeing is if you get a case in the country panics. That's symmetrical right across the board. Japan can't handle the coronavirus, cannot host the Olympics. No. Well, Japan should never, ever got the opportunity to host the Olympics. Right? Japan is running short of medical professionals who can perform tests. And they rejected money. Shinzo Abe should... Look, the first time he became prime minister, they kicked him out because he was so corrupt. He came in after nuclear meltdowns and he force-fed radioactive food to the children throughout the prefecture and the rest of the country. They have epidemics of illnesses connected to radiation sickness because of that person worldwide. Cancer, most people think radiation and cancer, but there's 1,800 diseases and illnesses and autoimmune deficiencies and injuries will manifest long before cancer. Cancer is very latent, right? Typically, unless you're eating a lot of that radioactive food from Fukushima Prefecture. And if you're buying food, you have to be really careful you don't eat anything from Japan. And so the Japanese people have been told not to seek testing nor bother visiting medical institutions unless their symptoms are in late stages. Outsource the government's containing efforts to the population. But this is what he's always done since he's been. The man's not supposed to exist as a politician. He's supposed to be in stripes in a jail for poisoning the country. It's absurd what he's got away with. And no test, there can be no rise in the confirmed cases. Like he's sinking Japan every day, and now this has happened, and people are sitting just pretending it's not happening. Tokyo Olympics won't be cancelled due to coronavirus. That was February 26, 2 days ago, headline. That's changed dramatically since then. The International Olympic Committee are 100% criminals. They said they were going to be the arbiter of radiation effects for the Olympians. It's absurd. They have no qualification to make any assertions about stuff like that. Urgent advice for parents is 7 schools close after a trip. So there's a ski trip to Italy. You close 7 schools in the UK. Right? So it's totally something we've never heard tell of. Every facet of this story. This device has a UV light to sterilize itself. This is a concept of how you can be out in the public with coronavirus. Why go to these extremes of everything we're seeing? This completely bizarre land for even a single case. It's a good solution, but are you going to wear that whenever you go to the shop? Imagine posting a selfie on Twitter. I wouldn't want to be in your feed. I wouldn't want to have that feed. Oh, and it's called Be a Batman. Right? Because they're still trying to claim this is from bats. Well, it probably was from bats originally. Then it went into a laboratory and was weaponized. Otherwise, why are you doing what you're doing? And there's another story, a virus underreported. Lots of there's thousands of these communities where they might get 50 cases, but they only report 1 in China. China's artificially deflating their numbers now, thanks to the World Health Organization. But these official documents shows they're completely downplaying every facet of this. The numbers are extraordinarily high, and because you got to realize, as soon as the number went up, there's 6 trillion gone in stocks this week. So they were desperate. And the World Health Organization protected them. We showed that in previous presentations. It's outrageous. So here's one little community had 52 cases. They only reported 1. That was these documents that showed up. Official documents. And then the police were jacking relief supplies, stealing them, and putting them in the pickup truck. There was a kickback for the cop. Unbelievable, man. Everything we see with these cops in China are just, they're hideous. They're hideous. They're not cops. They're freaks. They're a gang, is what they're acting like. Everything we see about them. We noticed they closed up the internet loopholes, like the virtual private networking is being throttled and choked. What's the difference between this and being an outlaw? Said Buddy, who was videotaping it with his camera. It was a volunteer. Farmers were bringing stuff to Wuhan, and the cops just jacked it on them. So this woman, she had to be tested 8 times before she was finally confirmed to be infected. It's very, very dangerous, because it's so hard to identify people. It's only late stages that can you identify them. And this could be latent for up to a month. We got a study showing 24 days, but a lot of evidence showing longer. Romania had no cases. They went out and just destroyed the supermarkets, just took everything. And so if they have an event show up during the next few days, there'll be nothing in the supermarkets for anybody else. And we're seeing that right around the world right now. So there's a lot of people out there, won't hear the stuff you're hearing today. They're just fed a little bit, but they're out there panicking. You can't blame them. And if you're in a position where you can stock up on essentials, you better start thinking about it. Because I guarantee you that there's nothing normal about what we're seeing. There's no indication this is going to slow down. there's every indication this is accelerating. And the reaction for a single case in a country is extraordinary. And so the so-called officials of different countries that are in the know are not sharing that with anybody else. That's on purpose. Respiratory by surgical mask online increased up to 50 times the prices. So the Geneva show, actually, that's upgraded, that's cancelled. Crazy. The Samsung company pulled out of it. And then there's other headlines that are coming out. Yeah, I'm not taking no calls tonight, Stephen. Sorry, buddy. I just want to get through this. I'm not feeling good. I want to go back to bed. French Riviera city cancels carnival. French Riviera fears 80% of British could get the disease in worst case scenario. I'm worn out. I'm worn out. I'm ran into the ground trying to dig up all this information. It's absurd how difficult it is to dig up so much information. I don't want this to be real, and I'm out there hunting, trying to debunk myself, basically. And I'm just burnt out. I'll probably be okay, hopefully, by Monday or Tuesday, but I'm not going to be slowing down. My hours of sleep now are just nutty, all over the place. I'm reading everything, listening to everything out there, trying to figure out what the hell is going on. Illinois should plan now for a pandemic. Top Center for Disease Control and Prevention said it's only a matter of time. It's like you've seen so many stories like this. It's just, everything points towards, why is everybody panicking? Because there's a reason. Why are they lying so much? And they know it's going to go everywhere, apparently. Community schools, businesses in Illinois and across the county should begin preparing now for coronavirus. And it's only a matter of time before it spreads to communities across the U.S. Germany's at the start of a coronavirus epidemic. What we're seeing is an actual pandemic, but nobody's calling that shit. Just another few days, they're going to be forced to call it a pandemic. And so, because there's $6 trillion gone in stocks this week, they're waiting until they got no choice but to come out and say the word pandemic. Then you're going to see $50 or $100 trillion that day slip away from the stocks. They'll murder the whole planet to keep their stocks, right? And World Health Organization is more than willing to help them. They've done nothing, only deceive everybody up to this stage. They're only consultants. They're not even doing that. And they're put on a pedestal. Germany is at the beginning of a coronavirus epidemic after new cases sprung up which can no longer be traced to the virus' original sources. Anybody who trusts the World Health Organization are going to get trounced. Stocks are down again as the FDA official says coronavirus is on the cusp of a pandemic. Yeah, but if they come out and say it, just thinking about it, stocks went down $6 trillion in 5 days. Then the week before was $2 trillion. The week before that was $1 trillion. There's probably more I'm not including, right? At least 9 trillion. Trillion. Like these are crazy numbers we're talking about. So there's a lot of people in the know, and they're moving their money, spreading across the world. Yeah, this is a pandemic. Like when South Korea locked down 2.5 million, that was a pandemic, right? But They've done everything they could. The World Health Organization, weirdos, have done everything they could to downplay this for some reason. It's not right. It's outrageous. And it's time for them to stop doing this. They have no intentions of doing what they're claiming their job is for some reason. I'm very confused how they can get away with what they're doing. Yeah, look, like they've been saying from the beginning that they got a vaccine originally. Remember that? And they were saying all along, oh, we think we got a cure. And this is just the mean, because stocks are flying down. Their media is coming out and saying, and usually you see the stocks will come up a bit when they say it. Look, if they had any kind of a cure, you wouldn't see all the panicking you're seeing, okay? You're not seeing that across the board, all the medias. You're just seeing that from media that pumps stocks all the time. That's what I mean. They're outrageous. If you're not seeing it across the board, then you can assume it's not true, see? When you only see certain medias coming out saying they got a cure, you need to look for supporting documentation before you talk about it, because otherwise people get a false sense of security, and then they're going to be gobbled up by this monster out there. Onlookers flee as suspected coronavirus patient was wheeled through a Florence train station. People literally ran away. Onlookers caught on camera flee in an apparent panic because somebody was being wheeled through by people in white suits, right? You see people running across. You can barely see them in that, but they're literally running away from the wheelchair. Bizarre land. The ship carrying 6,000 people denied entry because they're worried somebody might on the ship. This is what I mean. This is extraordinary, disproportionate reaction. It's extraordinary. Yeah, and if you get the coronavirus itself, don't be drinking concentrated juices or milks because they create a lot of phlegm and everything, right? This stuff is like a jelly in your lungs. There's no way to get it out. And then once you're in critical condition, a study came out, I think it was Monday, was 61% fatality for the people in critical condition. Right now, there's over 1,600 doctors in critical condition, right? We covered that in the last presentation. Was denied entry after health officials found one crew member reporting flu-like symptoms. So there was one person on the ship with flu-like symptoms, and 6,000 people were denied entry. Like, we're talking about Twilight Zone stuff. Fake news is spreading fast. That's the BBC. You see this person up here? He's the BBC. He's fake news. Watch this. He's claiming, I'll play the whole clip. The media to the right are claiming they're on top of the building to the left. Just explain it. See that? This is the depiction of that building over there. That's number 4 reactor in Japan. These are 190 feet high, 150 feet wide. And then what you see left over there is about 40 feet high, but there's nothing left. There's no integrity. There's nothing in reactor 4. And there was decades of reactor cores up there. This is the other reactor core. The the running ones, for instance, and then there's another pool over there full of decades of reactor cores. They're actually gone. So here's CNN.
We are here inside Reactor 4 at the Fukushima Daiichi nuclear power plant that was severely crippled during the earthquake and tsunami of 2011.
So how can you trust?
Leading to the country.
How can you trust media or Google or Facebook who pump that everywhere? Not only that, but here's CBS, BBC, CNN, like you just watched, and behind me, ABC Australia. How can you trust them when they pretend that they're in a building that don't actually exist? Here, I'll play it for you. It's only a short clip.
I'm standing is on top of what used to be reactor building number 4. The whole of this building was blown apart by a huge explosion.
We are here inside Reactor 4 at the Fukushima Daiichi nuclear power plant that was severely crippled during the earthquake and tsunami of 2011.
Of the decommissioning work taking place here in Reactor 4.
At the end of our tour, we were checked for radiation exposure. In 4 hours, I received the equivalent of less than a chest x-ray.
1,500 highly radioactive fuel rods inside this pool. They've got to move them outside of this reactor.
Right, and so you got all them people, medias, including BBC. There's BBC up there, and they're out there have the arrogance to tell you fake news is spreading fast, and that's exactly what they've done for years now. And that same person recently faked being in Reactor 3. It's outrageous. Like, if you understood what was really going on, I guarantee you, you'd be just as upset. Stockpiling of food and medicine may become rife. And you should be stockpiling if you're in a position to do it. Unfortunately, I'm not. But if you're in a position to do it, you should be doing it. Because I guarantee you, you won't be sorry and it won't be wasted. 2 coronavirus cases confirmed in Pakistan. If it gets loose to any of these countries, but particularly places like Pakistan, we're in for a world of hurt. Iran cyber police arrested 24 over rumors. So we see this over and over in impoverished countries that don't have the capability to deal with it. They just arrest anybody talking about it and hope it goes away. Those are the countries you can guarantee where it's going to go insane. Pictures, videos, news that have rumors or fake news meant to disturb the public. Like, disturb the public? As if the public is your personal pet? This guy was making fun of China, and now he's being charged by the sports league, whatever that means. Can't play a game or something. Defending video was uploaded to Snapchat. Showed him wearing a face mask. Blah, 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 blah. Nobody cares, right? So the Greeks are out there to limit out their supermarkets. Right across the board now, we've been seeing this bizarre reaction. Hardly has the first confirmed case in Greek been announced, and the residents of the second biggest city limbed out the supermarkets. It's really something. It was 12 hours before the first confirmed infection. Amazing. Still, transmission fuels fast spread of the coronavirus. Undetected cases based on a computer model. Mild, limited, or no symptoms who went undetected. We got studies showing 1 in 19 are, that's all they're really detecting, right? Here's Canada as a voice. Stockpile food and meds, as it's coming, baby. Health Minister is encouraging Canadians to stockpile food and medication in their homes. Crazy. Bangkok school closed after a student was diagnosed. Schools closed for 14 days. I bet you they won't be opening for months. Australia activates a pandemic plan due to a global coronavirus crisis. Crisis? Well, there's a pandemic worldwide now. They're just downplaying it so they can hope recover some of their monies from stocks. They're savages. They're going to kill the planet rather than do what they allege they're supposed to do. Israel becomes the first country to advise all travel abroad. So if you're in Israel now, you're staying in Israel. Doctors and nurses fighting coronavirus in China die of infection and fatigue. I think it's around 5,000 of them. Around 1,600 doctors are in critical condition. Without life support, they're going to die. China Airlines now, you can fly for cheaper than a burger. It's crazy stuff. 900 miles for the price of a coffee. Coronavirus far more likely than SARS to bind human cells. 1,000 times as strong as the SARS virus binding to your cells, folks. And so that paper is now the most viewed ever on that publisher. But I mean, there's absurd amount of publishers out there that mostly are owned by Elsevier, Springer, and Wiley. Coronavirus impact: Bezos and the top 10 billionaires lose record wealth in one day. Bill Gates, Jeff Bezos, Mark Zuckerberg, which is Facebook, several billions of dollars each. $3.4 billion from his stocks. So it's in his best interest to work with the health organization and censor everybody. See? You get it? That's criminal what they're doing. It's criminal to do what they're doing, folks. And who's going to hold them accountable? South Korea reports, and these numbers keep going up. Yesterday's number, I think, was 600 new cases. So the new number is not 3 trillion, it's 6 trillion. Why have pandemic fears? Anything they can to play it down, right? So they're just censoring everybody in the hopes they can recoup some of their money. That's the only reason they're doing it, folks. Stern School of Business and many traders deluded themselves that the epidemic would be limited to China. No, they didn't delude themselves. These people would rob their own grandmother. The stock markets are savages. Despite this week's big sell-off of equity markets, the worst is yet to come. Yeah, it's just starting, folks. Wait till you see the word pandemic show up everywhere. Olympics are just heartbreaking what we're seeing happening. Like, what they're doing is they're boxing everybody in who don't understand what's going on, and then they're going to drop the hammer, and then everybody's going to be left out. Everybody's going to be caught out short. It's outrageous. Your media is the worst thing that could ever happen to you. Now, I know, because I'm reading it all the time. I've been doing it for many years. You're literally the worst thing that could happen to anybody is they start believing medias. You got to source through everything. Here's an Australian athlete, a swimming legend, got like 6 goals or something, telling the Australian athletes, don't be going to Japan, stupid. Don't do it. And in Singapore, you go to jail if you're lying about moving your movements. Over and over and over, we see those connotations. Never seen anything like any of this before in history. Man collapses while violently coughing in London, and then he gets up and walks away, so he's faking it. Everybody ran away in panic. People walking past him literally ran away. Then he got up and he was okay. So the World Bank considers virtual spring meeting. I think people like this should all have to meet in person. Emotional epidemic. Coronavirus fear takes mental toll in Italy. Really? You wake up in the morning and you got 12 towns locked down. Millions of people don't go to school, blah, 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 blah. Tens of millions. Yeah, that's not going to take no toll. Here's who to trust as concern rises. Oh yeah, I'm sure. World Health Organization. Right? You slowly see South Korea's daily numbers creeping up to big numbers, right? That's significant numbers. You see the military, when you're seeing the military, is the only vehicles on the road, and they're wearing paper suits, you are in a world of hurt. And in South Korea, more than 1 million people signed a petition demanding the impeachment of President Moon. Yeah, well, he locked down 2.5 million people. Because there were 60 cases, and it looks like it was a good thing he did. How scary is that statement? China is paying citizens $1,100 to report themselves if they're sick and they test positive. You can spend it when you get out of the internment camps. So they've been artificially, think about this statement here. In the wider Hubei province, which is where Wuhan is the capital of that province, 60 plus million locked down for over a month, the epicenter of the coronavirus outbreak, 65,000 cases, and 2,600 dead. Now think about this statement, confirmed by the World Health Organization. In other words, it's not 2,700 dead or 3,500 dead or 30,000 dead or 50,000 dead sick, right? No. It's confirmed there's only 2,500, 2,600. But I can show you, and I have, all the crematoriums are going full boogie. There's around 50 of them just in Wuhan, and they can burn 100 a day, and they are victims. And so here's the World Health Organization. No, it's just 2,600. It's disgusting. It's disgusting. It's disgusting they're doing that. It's revolting. Confirmed by Monster's best friends, the World Health Organization. But anyway, on Wednesday, cases detected for the first time in Brazil, Pakistan, Norway, Greece, Romania, Algeria. They're panicking. They're limiting their supermarkets over there. And notice how they put PM Abe, not Prime Minister Shinzo Abe, but PM Abe. They don't want his name shown up to title searches. See? Asks all of Japan's schools to close over coronavirus. All elementary, junior, and high school, aka all of them. And it's only for a couple of weeks, but you know bloody well that it ain't going to open anytime soon. News comes after a woman working as a tour bus guide tested positive. Therefore, we're going to close every school in the country. See, like, to me, because I gather up all these stories, I do these presentations, right? I've been doing this since the 25th of January. I literally live in the Twilight Zone. All this is Twilight Zone stuff. It's maddening that somehow or another the World Health Organization is a arbiter of facts is ludicrous. Once you have the infections, it could remain dormant with minimal symptoms, and then you get an exasperation that finds its way into the lungs, and then they fill up with this goo, and there's no way to breathe. It also destroys your kidneys, right? It also can give you a heart attack, and you can get it more than once. And once you get the first time, your antibodies in your body, right, has a vicious reaction the second time. People drop dead all over the place. It appears to go away before recurring. Do you think you're cured? Let it come back and wrecks you. Very, 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 very. And you're going to go through so much to tell this story. It's a nightmare. And every coronavirus pod set up at St. Helier's Hospital mocked for looking like tents next to the garbage bins. There's the garbage, like hospital waste, I should say. And then they got the tents right there. Like literally the stupidest thing you could do for putting your tents. And inside the tent is a chair. And the floor, you see there, that's designed to be washed all the time, right? That's your quarantine centers. You got to go in there and make a phone call, then they'll deal with you. They'll take you to an internment camp. It contains nothing but a phone, a chair, and instructions. They actually changed them when the story came out. They also set up pods at St. George's Hospital. Wash hands before every meal and ban handshakes to stop coronavirus. That's crazy stuff. Saudi Arabia suspends entry for pilgrims going to the holy sites. So you can imagine. Every facet of this story is Twilight Zone. Every facet. Fears the coronavirus pandemic hitting UK grows as 2 new cases confirmed. How the hell is that a headline? How does that become a headline? Fears because there's 2 more cases. Yet there's lots of media out there saying, worry about the flu. Schools should be forced to close for 2 months if the outbreaks worsen over there in the UK. Facebook is going to censor everybody for fear-mongering. It's fear-mongering. They don't want to be there where people are coughing, because you know a cough don't go 6 feet, it goes 200 feet, like a sneeze. Facebook adds fuel to the coronavirus panic by cancelling in-person part of developers' conference. And Google's doing the same thing, right? Blah, blah, blah. Twitter done the same thing. They cancel everything, and they're calling everybody fear-mongering. With the World Health Organization coordinating it all. Air New Zealand floats leave without pay and slashes the fears for Aussies. Yeah, you want to take some time off? There's no pay. Well, you can take some time off. Because they're going to go upside down real quick. Because they dropped their pay or their flights down to dirt cheap on top of that. Disneyland in Tokyo to close through mid-March. I can guarantee they won't be opening mid-March. That's a fact. And take it to the bank too. Closed all big gatherings and sports events. Scrapped for the next 2 weeks. Yeah, because they didn't want to come out and say 2 months or 5 months. Quebec, do they really think? Like, do they really think in 2 weeks' time that this has gone away? Like, does anybody really think that's what's going to happen? Is there anybody out there actually that delusional? They think that in 2 weeks' time they're going to open this again because it's gone away? Or all the sporting events or concerts or anything is going to be gone away? Do you really think? Quebec reports the first case of coronavirus? Well, how is that a headline? Do you get it? Because it is. Hyundai shuts down a factory after a worker tests positive. You shut down a whole factory because someone had the flu. Like, all of these headlines are the most bizarre things conceivable. Pokemon Company cancels multiple events in Japan. Every facet of these stories makes Twilight Zone look like a silly play. Coronavirus, Hanoi, Vietnam, mold scenario to quarantine city streets. But look at these quarantine when you're thrown in with all kinds of other people. Strangers. Call it an internment camp everywhere else, by the way. Include locking down city streets, says party secretary. And Vietnam has suspended entry from all coronavirus hit countries and territories. That includes South Korea, Japan, Italy, and Iran. Japan schools may be shut longer depending on the outbreak. Not maybe, they are going to be. There's no Olympics. Anybody thinks there's going to be Olympics is delusional. It's just because you're in that industry trying to steal money. That's all it's about. I don't see any indication there's anything that's bizarre land. Dow Jones plunges 500 points in 45 minutes because of coronavirus. Young female Iranian player dies. So young, I can show you the pictures of 3 children, 5, 6, 7 years old, in one body bag in a hospital. It's not just older people that immune systems are compromised at all. Iran's former envoy to the Vatican dies. The Sensex plunges 1,100 points. Global sell-offs in stocks. Nigeria confirms first case. And they got no healthcare system whatsoever. It's just flooded right away. See? They call for a study because there's evidence to show this can live in water like swimming pools, which are usually sterilized. But this one in particular has a lot of people every day. The study 12 years ago about the coronavirus, a different strain, can be transferable through water like a swimming pool, like stomach flu can too, right? A pool with 1,000 visitors a day. Ew! Have thrived in the water between 4 degrees Celsius, 23 degrees Celsius. A previous coronavirus strain has survived for long periods of time. Fears of mass coronavirus infections in Western Australia. State needs to be prepared for up to a quarter of the population to be infected. If a quarter of the population gets infected, then you're going to get 80 or 90% of the population that is infected. That's a fact. The warning comes after the state confirmed a second case. A second case? Like, that's it for us, baby! It's over! It's over. The People's War against coronavirus in China has echoes of Mao. It never left. China's the most repressive country, the most hateful country I've ever come across. World harshens its coronavirus. Harshens, I don't know. Response and epidemic worsens by a day. California is monitoring 8,400 people. Have a nice day. And the stocks fall. The Geneva Car Show was axed. We talked about that earlier. And coronavirus wiped $5 trillion off the world market. But it was actually $6 trillion just this week. Not counting last week and the week before and the week before, but just this week, just in 5 days, $1 trillion in a day. Investors panic, and now the stock market is historical oversold level. And so the stocks that were doing good, they would issue more stocks, right, over the last number of years. And now all of a sudden they crash, and you got all these extra stocks, which makes all the stocks total useless, basically. So they will lie to you. You got all these different medias will just lie to you because they're paid by the kickbacks from the stock markets all the time, many years, and now they're going to call them in for their favors, right? So here's the $6 trillion in global equity value since January the 20th. But there's headlines showing $6 trillion just this week. Coronavirus crash wipes $5 trillion off the world stocks. That was this week only. Newcastle banned handshakes. We're seeing that in a lot of different facets where they ban handshakes now. Killer disease hits Nigeria and 12 other countries in 48 hours. See, we always see these scum media out calling it influenza, but when we see all these headlines calling it a killer disease, just endless amounts of that stuff. And scumbag National Post who put up monsters like Jonathan Kay and other scumbag, disgusting parasites. They're out there stirring up shit. Insurers could lose billions if coronavirus prompts Olympic cancellation. Yep. That's all they're worried about is their money. They don't give a fuck about you. Excuse the language. Brits face months of chaos with concerts axed and supermarkets are emptied. And it's not barely struck down there. Law firm today told 1,100 workers to go home because they think they have a case there. This is like bizarre. It surely couldn't get much more bizarre than it, but it is. Knocked $5 trillion off the world stock markets this week. And I split up that story about the law firm, right? Accidentally. After a possible coronavirus case was detected, 1,100 of them were sent home. Fashion shows in Paris are cancelled. Oh, this is a fake story, by the way, but I doubt many meth users made it this far. But police, by doing this, because they're just going to arrest these people, they'll come to the house and pick it all up, blah, blah, blah. What they're doing, though, is they lose credit with everybody else by doing something like this, because they're denigrating the severity of this. They're claiming that meth is contaminated with coronavirus. And bring it into the police station, they'll check it for free. Unbelievable that they're doing something like that. It makes it really difficult to trust them in the future. It's outrageous that they've done something like that. Because they'll be going out there getting coronavirus, those same guys. And people will remember what they've done. Remember, a sneeze travels 200 feet, not 6 feet, like the World Health Organization is trying to tell you. And that it lives on surfaces for 9 days, not 3 hours, like the World Health Organization. And all the media's regurgitated that for the last couple of weeks. They still won't come out and admit it, the truth. And they're colluding with Google and Facebook and other big social medias to censor everybody except for them. Put them on a pedestal. And to disappear anybody like me. And I've been censored. The censorship against me is outrageous. And today is not one of my better videos, I know that. because I'm burnt out. I've been at this for weeks and weeks and weeks, desperate for this not to be real. Praying every day that this is not real. I see the trolls were here earlier picking on me. And think about how ruthless those scumbags are to do something like that. Because all I'm going to do is bring you the truth. I'm not going to lie to you. And yeah, you know, I got a bit of a personality. Sue me. At least I got a personality, which is more than I can say for those scumbags. Is there anything else I wanted to add to this? I can't remember off the top of my head, but I don't know. Hopefully, I don't have to do another show the weekend. Hopefully, I can take the weekend off, but depends, right? Depends if any major stories are coming out. We might have to do another show the weekend. And even though I might not do the show, I'm still working all day, all night, every waking minute on this. Because I need to know too, right? And you need to know. And you need to have someone like me that's going to be honest with you. I'm not always going to be like I'm just a normal everyday person. That's all I am. And it's an absurd amount of work to do the things I'm doing. I'm not paid for what I'm doing. This is voluntarily. And it's absurd amount of work. It might not seem like it, but it's intense to find the truth. It's so difficult. It's not supposed to be that way. They've made it very difficult to find the truth. I'm just trying to make it easy. I'm just doing the best I can. I'm not perfect. I'm far from it. I got an incredible amount of flaws and 1,000 bad habits. But when I sit here and do these shows, I'm completely honest and open with you. Give us a share out there if you can. There's lots of ways you can do it. Put me in your bookmark so you can find me later. You can come back and see what else I'm putting out there. God bless everybody. Hugs for everybody. We'll talk to everybody soon. Take care.